Deep within the Congo Basin, where the second largest rainforest on Earth stretches across nearly 2 million square miles, there exists a world that humanity has barely touched. This is not the Africa of documentaries, with its sweeping savannas and iconic wildlife. This is something far more ancient, far more mysterious. The Congo Rainforest is a place where scientists estimate that half of all plant and animal species remain completely unknown to science, when it is a place where indigenous people speak in hushed tones about creatures that, according to our understanding of natural history, should not exist. And at the center of these whispers is a legend that has captivated explorers, cryptozoologists, and scientists for over a century.
Ow.
The possibility that a living dinosaur, a creature from the age of giants, might still walk through these primordial swamps. The creature has a name. The Lingala-speaking people of the Congo call it Mokele-Mbembe, which translates roughly to one who stops the flow of rivers. According to local testimony that has remained remarkably consistent across different tribes and regions, Mokele-Mbembe is an enormous animal, larger than an elephant, with a long neck, a small head, and a powerful tail. It is said to live in the deepest parts of remote rivers and lakes, emerging occasionally to feed on vegetation. The descriptions, when first heard by European explorers in the early 20th century, were startling in their specificity. They did not describe any known African animal. Instead, they described something that sounded eerily similar to a sauropod dinosaur. The long-necked giants that dominated the Earth during the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, creatures that mainstream science believes vanished 66 million years ago. The story of Mokele-Mbembe as a subject of Western interest begins in 1776, when a French missionary named Abbé Lévin Bonaventure Proyart wrote about enormous animal tracks he had observed. In the Congo region, tracks with claw marks that measured roughly 3 feet in circumference. Over a century later, in 1913, a German explorer named Captain Freiherr von Steinzu-Losenitz was conducting a survey of the Cameroon region when local guides told him about a mysterious animal living in the rivers. They described it as brownish-gray, in color, approximately the size of an elephant or larger, with a long, flexible neck and a single tooth or horn. Von Stein never saw the creature himself, but he was struck by how seriously the indigenous people took these accounts and how the descriptions aligned. Across different communities, the Congo Basin itself is an extraordinary environment, one that makes the idea of hidden megafauna seem less impossible than it might elsewhere. This is one of the most remote and inaccessible regions on the planet. Much of it has never been systematically explored by scientists. The rainforest is a maze of swamps, rivers, and dense vegetation where visibility can be measured in feet. Rather than miles, during the rainy season, vast areas become completely submerged, creating temporary lakes and waterways that appear and disappear with the seasons. The biodiversity is staggering. In recent decades, scientists have discovered hundreds of new species in the Congo Basin, including new primates, new species of forest elephants, and creatures that challenge our understanding of evolutionary biology. The okapi, a relative of the giraffe that looks like a cross between a zebra and a horse, was unknown to Western science until 1901, despite being a large mammal. If an animal that size could remain hidden until the 20th century, what else might be living in these forests? The expeditions to find Mokele-Mbembe began in earnest in the 1980s. In 1980, an American engineer and explorer named Herman Regusters led an expedition to Lake Tele in the Republic of Congo, one of the locations most frequently associated with Mokele-Mbembe sightings. Regusters claimed that his team observed a long-necked creature moving through the water, though no photographs or physical evidence were obtained. The following year, in 1981, a more scientifically oriented expedition led by biologist Roy Mackal set out for the same region. Mackal, a biochemist from the University of Chicago, approached the search with scientific rigor, collecting testimony from dozens of witnesses and attempting to document any physical evidence. While Mackal's team did not see Mokele-Mbembe themselves, they gathered numerous eyewitness accounts that were striking in their consistency. Villagers from different areas, with no contact with each other, described the same basic creature. When shown pictures of various animals, including dinosaurs, Multiple witnesses independently identified sauropod dinosaurs as resembling what they had seen. What makes these accounts particularly interesting to researchers is the level of detail and the lack of obvious motivation for fabrication. The local people do not revere Mokele-Mbembe and consider it a spiritual entity. In their accounts, it is simply a dangerous animal to be avoided, one that occasionally overturns canoes or becomes aggressive if disturbed. Some reports describe the creature as herbivorous, feeding on a particular type of liana plant that grows near riverbanks. In one frequently cited account from the 1980s, villagers claim to have killed a Mokele-Mbembe after it repeatedly interfered with their fishing. According to the story, those who ate the creature's flesh subsequently died, though whether from disease, toxins, or unrelated causes remains unknown. These are not the hallmarks of myth-making, but rather the kind of practical, matter-of-fact reporting one would expect about any real animal that occasionally comes into conflict with human communities. The scientific community remains deeply skeptical, and with good reason. The remote is not uninhabited. The rivers are used for transportation and fishing. It seems unlikely that a population of elephant-sized animals could exist completely undetected in an area with this level of human activity, yet there are complications to this dismissal. The history of zoology is filled with animals that were dismissed as myth before being confirmed as real. The mountain gorilla was considered a legend until 1902. The seal can, fish thought to have gone extinct with the dinosaurs, was discovered. Alive in 1938, the giant squid was considered sailor's fantasy until a specimen was finally captured in the 19th century. More recently, in 1992, a previously unknown species of large mammal, the saola, was discovered in Vietnam. Science has a humbling history of being wrong about what is and is not possible in nature. It is not necessarily evidence of absence, particularly in one of the least explored environments. On Earth, there is also the question of what exactly people are seeing. Even skeptical researchers acknowledge that the eyewitness accounts from the Congo are not easily dismissed as simple misidentifications of known animals. The descriptions do not match elephants, hippos, crocodiles. Some scientists have proposed that witnesses might be seeing large pythons swimming with their heads raised above water, or perhaps unknown species of large monitor lizards. Others suggest that the accounts might represent cultural memories passed down through generations, stories of real dinosaurs that were kept alive in oral tradition for millennia. This latter theory, while fascinating, raises its own questions about how such specific memories could be maintained with such accuracy. Over such vast periods of time, the Congo Basin has revealed other mysteries that remind us how little we truly know about this region. In 2003, researchers discovered a population of over 100,000 lowland gorillas in a remote area that scientists had assumed was largely uninhabited by these primates. This was not a small animal hiding in crevices, but one of our closest relatives, living in populations that had somehow escaped scientific notice. In 2007, researchers documented tool use among gorillas in the Congo for the first time, observing them using sticks to test water depth, behaviors that were previously unknown to science. These discoveries underscore a crucial point. Our knowledge of the Congo Basin remains fragmentary and incomplete. The indigenous knowledge of the region tells a different story than the one in our textbooks. People who have lived in and around these forests for countless generations possess a detailed understanding of the ecosystem that scientists are only beginning to appreciate. Their taxonomies of plants and animals often include creatures that Western science has not yet documented. In many cases, when researchers have followed up on indigenous reports of unknown animals, they have indeed discovered new species. This pattern has led some scientists to take local testimony more seriously. Even when it describes things that seem to challenge our understanding of what is possible, consider the broader context of survival and extinction. We know that some lineages of animals have remained virtually unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. Crocodiles and alligators are essentially living fossils, with body plans that have been successful since the age of dinosaurs. Sharks have existed in recognizable form for over 400 million years. Turtles have remained largely unchanged for over 200 million years. These examples prove that under the right conditions, ancient body plans can persist far longer than we might expect. The question is not whether ancient lineages can survive, but whether a specific lineage, the sauropod dinosaurs, could have survived in a specific location, the Congo Basin, under specific environmental conditions that we may not fully understand. The geology of the Congo Basin adds another layer to this mystery. During the mass extinction event that ended the age of dinosaurs when an asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula and triggered global devastation, not all parts of the Earth were affected equally. While the impact caused worldwide climate disruption, some regions may have experienced less severe effects than others. The Congo Basin, located near the equator with its dense rainforest cover and abundant water, might have provided a more stable environment than other locations. This is speculation, of course, but it is speculation based on our understanding of how extinction events work. They are rarely absolutely total. There are almost always survivors, species that manage to persist in refugia, isolated pockets of suitable habitat where they can ride out the worst of the catastrophe. The technology available for exploration has advanced dramatically in recent decades. Satellite imagery can now map the Earth's surface with unprecedented detail. Drones can access areas that were previously unreachable. DNA analysis can detect the presence of animals from water samples or soil samples, picking up trace genetic material that confirms a species' presence even without direct observation. Environmental DNA, or eDNA, has revolutionized how we study elusive animals. Researchers can now sample water from a river and analyze it for genetic traces of every creature that has passed through recently. These tools have been used successfully to document rare and endangered species in other parts of the world, yet the Congo Basin remains challenging even with modern technology. The dense canopy blocks satellite observation of the forest floor. The wet conditions and acidity of swamp water can degrade DNA quickly. The political instability in parts of the region makes systematic scientific surveys difficult and dangerous. Several expeditions in the 21st century have attempted to use these modern tools to search for evidence of Mokele-Mbembe. None have produced definitive proof, but none have definitively proven the creature does not exist either. The challenge is the scale of the search area. The Congo Basin is vast beyond comprehension. Finding a population of elusive animals in this environment is like searching for a needle in a haystack the size of Western Europe, where much of the haystack is underwater or buried under impenetrable vegetation. The animals we do know about in this region, including forest, elephants, and bonobos, can be remarkably difficult to observe despite our knowledge of their existence and rough population estimates. The human dimension of this mystery cannot be ignored. For the people of the Congo, these are not abstract questions about paleontology or cryptozoology. These are questions about their own lived experience and knowledge. When Western researchers dismiss their accounts as myth or misidentification, it carries echoes of colonial attitudes that valued European knowledge over indigenous knowledge. This is not to say that every local account must be accepted uncritically as scientific fact. Cultures around the world have mythologies that include creatures that do not exist. But there is a difference between folklore and eyewitness testimony. And many of the Mokele-Mbembe accounts fall into the latter category. People describing in plain terms what they claim to have seen, often at some risk to their credibility in the eyes of outsiders, deserves at least respectful consideration. The broader question that Mokele-Mbembe raises is about the nature of knowledge itself and the limits of our understanding. We live in an age where we often assume that humanity has mapped and cataloged most of the natural world, that the age of discovery is behind us, yet this assumption is contradicted constantly by new findings. Every year brings news of new species discovered, new behaviors observed, new ecosystems identified. The deep ocean remains almost entirely unexplored, with estimates suggesting we have studied less than 5% of it. Large areas of tropical rainforests have never been visited by scientists. There are remote islands, cave systems, and mountain ranges where